Well, Sherry Sufi, you've done it again. You've got together a strong panel of speakers and you've got together a big crowd to talk about a very important subject. Well, Sherry Sufi, peace in the Middle East, but in particular, peace between Palestine and Israel.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's go over to the other side. This whole point that Mahmoud Abbas even mentioned a couple of weeks ago in his comments about the Ashkenazi Jews from Europe not really being from the region that is contested as Israel and Palestine. Dr. Hatoum, I mean, is this something that Palestinians believe widely? Or were Abbas's comments an isolated incident?
I don't believe so. I strongly believe that, in general, the Palestinian people have fully accepted that the land of Palestine should be shared between two people. Every statistic that I have seen, every Palestinian that I have spoken to, and I mix within the circles, have accepted the fact that the land of Palestine now is the home of two competing but equally deserving nations. The problem we have at the moment is that the Israeli side is not accepting the Palestinians' right to self-determination and a homeland in historic Palestine, not even on 20% of the land of historic Palestine. So at the moment we have an Israeli government that does not even accept the right of Palestinians to a homeland anywhere on the land of Palestine. So that is the crux of the problem. Can I just come in? Can I just come in? As a Palestinian Christian, I think it's important to address the historical connection of the Jewish people to the land of Palestine. But it's also very important to look at it even before the Jewish people came to the land of Palestine. If you look at even the Torah, you look at Deuteronomy, you look at Joshua's writings, it very clearly says, there are cities there that you did not build. There are lands and fields that you did not toil. There are houses full of goods that you did not build. This is the Torah telling the Jewish migrants who are coming from Iraq to the land of Palestine that there is an established Palestinian homeland. Palestine has always been multi-ethnic. The Jews came and the Palestinians were there. The Jews left and the Palestinians were still there. The Palestinians have come back, the Jews have come back, and the Palestinians are still there. So while there is a historic connection and the Jews were expelled by empires and brought back by other empires, the Palestinians have been there continuously inhabiting the land of Palestine for 10,000 years, and we will continue to be there.
Well, 10's pretty long, but yes, no. Point taken. Can we go to the gentleman at the back?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sufyan, and I'm Palestinian.
Sorry, your name is?
Sufyan.
Oh, right. Yeah, but remember your name from the RSVP list.
The respectable panel give the right to the Jews to return to Palestine, but they deny why, this is my question, why do you deny, or the Israelis, or let me differentiate one thing between Jews and Zionists. This is a big difference.
No.
Judaism
No,
is...
you're wrong.
No, it isn't.
Let him finish the question.
But my question to you, why do you deny the return of Palestinians to their land and buy the land in their own country, Palestine, while you are bringing Jews from Russia, Europe, and you say it's the right of return of Jews to their land?
A few points. One, most of the Arabs or Palestinians that were forcibly, and that was admitted by Israeli prime ministers, removed out of their homes and villages, happened before the declaration of the State of Israel. That is before the 14th of May 1948. 440,000 Palestinians were displaced, most of them forcibly, including my very own grandfather, who was placed on a boat in the port of Haifa, where he used to work. And in the mayhem of 1948, my grandfather and grandmother took half their children with them. They couldn't find my two aunties who were left behind in a small village near Haifa. And they still live there till now. My grandfather and grandmother, my father and his sister died having never seen their siblings or their kids again, because the state of Israel has racist laws that stops Christians like my family from going back to their home. My grandmother died with the key to her front door of her house in her bosom, not allowed to exercise her right to even visit, let alone to return to her home. Where is the justice in that? And of course, as Palestinians, we say we want the right of return. But that does not in any way negate the right of Israel to exist. What we want is equality. What we want is basic human rights. The current state of Israel has 93% of the land exclusive use for the Jews. A Christian who, like myself, from Nazareth, 500 years I've got the family tree from Nazareth, could very well have been Jewish from 2,000 years ago. Jews in mass converted to Christianity. Just because I believe in Jesus as my Lord and Savior and be a Christian, I am treated as a second-class citizen. I am denied my basic human rights. I am not allowed to exercise my right of return. But somebody who was, for whatever reason, in Poland 2,000 years, has the right to return to my home, to my family's home. Where is the justice in that? Unless we have justice, we cannot progress to talk about peace. So if you want to talk about peace, let's talk about peace. But peace with justice, peace with equality, peace with respect for human rights. Not just peace on Israel's terms, while Israel takes apart piece by piece Palestinian land, takes apart piece by piece every shred of humanity that we Palestinians hold on dearly. 70 years we have been displaced and not allowed the most basic of human rights. I say enough is enough. We want to talk about peace, let's talk about peace.
Okay,
I'd like something about peace.
Hi everyone, my name's David.
Sorry, name?
David.
Okay.
Okay. So, when we talk about Zionism, I think it's really important that we actually define what Zionism is, because there's actually 3 different definitions of Zionism. There's 3 different categories.
Actually, David, before you go into those 3 categories, there's a much more basic point that needs to be made. There's people here who wouldn't know Zionism is Jewish nationalism that started as a movement in the late 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's
political Zionism.
Political Zionism. Yeah. We're happy with that basic definition. Okay, continue. And not a speech, just a comment.
Okay.
Question.
So the key issue is that political Zionism. Political Zionism is a movement that's not based on Torah or Judaism.
What's his question?
It's a nationalist movement. This is my question.
Question.
Okay. My question is, in 1897, when Theodor Herzl tried to organise the world's first Zionist Congress in Germany, the rabbis in Germany and the UK rabbi both denounced, the UK chief rabbi both denounced it. They say this is not in line with Torah, this is not in line with Judaism. The only view in Torah, you can either, most of them adopted the view of cultural Zionism.
What's the
a Zionism
What's the question, David?
There's a comment.
Get on with the question.
My comment is, for those political Zionists, how do you stand up and talk about a Jewish homeland and not reference the Torah? How, especially with Alex, you talked about how you have limited faith. Limited faith. Do you believe in the Torah? Do you believe the Torah came from God? Do you believe Jews are meant to follow the Torah?
Yeah.
And how do you reconcile that to your political Zionist views? Because that is not what Judaism is about.
Sure. The Palestinians have absolutely no prospect of building anything when their only port to the sea was bombed by Israel, and their only small airfield in Gaza was bombed to smithereens by Israel. Also, they have absolutely no control over their borders. How can we build anything when the occupation and the humiliation is the facts on the ground? The Israeli settlements are increasing. For 25 years, we've been talking peace, while Israel increases the racist, Jewish-only settlements on Palestinian lands.
Okay, we'll get to the question of settlements in a second as well. So now we'll go to Jason, and then we'll go to Rabbi for a sec.
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Jason, and nothing makes me feel more Australian than an event like ours. So, thank you. Now, to give you a bit of context, like I was born in New York and I live in Perth, but I am to Israel what Aborigines are to Australia.
Well, they both claim to be the Aborigines of that land.
So you're Jewish?
Well, I mean, as far as we can trace back, the reason why I don't look like I'm from...
Question.
Sorry, guys. My question is about the aid funding. Apparently, Palestinians are the most, have the most funded minority people in the world, which was news to me when someone had mentioned that to me. I'd like to know more about what we could do with that aid funding in terms of establishing places that foster peace and foster community amongst Palestinian and Israeli and world youth altogether.
Are you sure there's no conflict of interest in that question?
Maybe.
Yeah, well,
I have a plan.
No, because I know your old man's got a project happening up in Geraldton. You've approached me about this. We're going to disqualify. So no, we'll have to disqualify that question.
No.
Unless
I don't think this has nothing to do with that, and it's old man's land.
Okay.
It's actually his old man's land.
Very quickly.
With regards to the aid.
Aid funding.
With regards to the aid, what we do know for a fact is that Israel receives more aid than any other nation on earth. $4 billion, $4,000 million every year from the United States only in military aid, let alone in all other aspects of aid. The Palestinians don't receive 10% of that. And the main issue we have is we're not allowed to build our economy. We're not allowed our independence. We're not allowed to do anything. We cannot even import the shampoo, as my colleague have just said.
Okay.
So how can we build an economy? We are being forced to be dependent on aid, something that which we hate very much. We want our independence so we can be productive. In percentage terms, they're actually reducing. From 1950, the Christian population was 20% in Israel amongst the Arabs. Now it is less than 8%. So in percentage terms, it's decreasing because Christians are discriminated against by Israeli laws.
No, it's because of conversion and birth rates.
There are 65 laws in Israel that discriminate against Christians.
Looks like we won't agree on that point. We do need to wrap this up and be out of here before 9 o'clock. So I do let you know we're going to take probably 2 more questions. So, gentleman there has had his hand up for a long time. Just hang on. That gentleman there with the George Clooney, I think. Well, it's the closest thing I could come up with. They'll probably both agree on this.
Hi, my name's Ben.
Name?
My name is Ben.
Sorry?
Ben.
Ben.
I would have felt missed out if you hadn't have asked my name for a second time. Look, my question is this.
Two-name solution.
Names are important. Look, I don't profess to know too much about this situation. I'm intrigued by it. But I am really pleased to hear that both sides are talking about acknowledging each other. The little I do know is there doesn't seem to be a common power or authority that can actually decide where Israel should be and where Palestine should be. So am I naive? Is there somebody? Because I think that's where peace lies. So I understand that there's contention over the United Nations, the accords and the treaties all seem to be set aside. Where are we headed? Where will a decision be made?
One last question, and that'll be the end of that. So one last question.
Just to address the 3 issues, the Palestinians were the victims of Israeli terrorism. Terrorism.
Oh, come on. I think your victimhood mentality is the whole problem. That's the problem.
Civilians. And the violence of the Israeli state is very well documented. Every day, Palestinians are subjected to Israeli state-sponsored terrorism. With regard to the final solution, the Arab peace plan was on the table very clearly from the early 90s. And the Arab states, 22 of them, signed up to the Arab peace plan. In return for Israel relinquishing control of the occupied Palestinian territories, even to the extent that the PLO agreed to have a demilitarized state. And they were happy to accept US, UN, anyone on the Palestinian borders, completely demilitarized. What do we get in return? We get more Israeli settlements. When that plan was voted by the Arab states, 22 of them accepted it. And then they took it to the Islamic states, and 45 Islamic states agreed to the Arab peace plan. Israel continued its settlement policy. 150,000 Jewish settlers were there at the beginning of the negotiations. Now, 750,000 Jewish settlers are living in Jewish-only colonies with Jewish-only roads. There is no structure in the whole world which is equivalent to that. It does not exist.
Okay, well,
Sherry?
okay, so we've heard from both sides of the panel, and that's... do you actually want to go?
Yeah, that wasn't rhetorical.
Absolutely. The Palestinian people and the Palestinian leadership have repeatedly and consistently
Oh, come on.
Okay.
Like what Abbas said 2 weeks ago?
Do you want
All right, that's... Okay,
we've want to hear yourself speak? That's
Okay,
fine, if you want to hear yourself speak.
we've had the closing remarks. No more discussion. Okay, that's the end of that. So, thank you very much to ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time.